All right, welcome to the session 4 of Java Object Oriented Programming. Um, Last time we covered the factory pattern and singleton pattern. I'll just give a brief of that again. So we created this library item factory for creating different instances of items that our a library holds. So for example, ebook and printed book. And this expose a single method which can be used anywhere to create those items, right? Which means instead of manually creating the items, we can just uh, call the method the factory method for creating the items, and we instantiated it here, and we're calling the create item method and passing the type of the item that we want to create. So that was the factory method. Second, we implemented singleton method, uh, which essentially means we can only create one object out of a class. um, we implemented it by creating this library manager, and library manager manages like all the operations of the library, for example adding item, finding item, borrowing item, returning item, etc. And this gets exposed as a single instance, so no matter how many times you call library manager class, it will just return a single instance of that. It will return a single object. That way we can maintain this list, right? Otherwise, whenever we create a new object out of the class, we'll have a fresh list. um, this is where it's getting used. So we are calling get instance, which returns the same instance again and again. And then we call these methods on the manager: add item, list all items, borrow items, and so on. Now let's move on to what we want to implement today, which is strategy pattern. So what is strategy pattern, right? It's essentially when you when you define an interface for any interface, right? It can be a method or an object or whatever, and you leave out you create multiple implementation for that interface, and then which implementation gets picked is done at the runtime, right? So instead of you defining, okay, I want to do this particular concrete method call, you can just provide an interface at the build time, and then when you instantiate those things, when you actually call that function at that time, it can the strategy pattern allow us to select which concrete implementation we want to use. So here's the example for it. So in our library manager, right, we have a library manager which holds all the library items we have. We want to implement search functionality. So a user can search for title, a user can search for author name, bunch of other things. Now, one way to implement is I can do is like in my library manager, I can have bunch of these functions, right? Search title, search author name, search ISBN, whatever. But this is not scalable because whenever you want to add an additional search functionality, you will have to touch the main class, the library manager class, right? Which is not ideal because if you think about open close principle, the class should not be modified. It should be open for addition, but it should not be modified. So general way to solve these kind of things is using strategy pattern. So what we will do is we will have an interface of a search method. Now our library manager will have access to this interface, and we will implement multiple concrete implementation of this interface. So for title there will be another a different implementation, for author there will be a different implementation, and we want to act when we want to actually use it, we will select which strategy we want to use and then do that call. So that's about like the overview. I think it will be more clearer when we go and actually implement it. So let's start. I'll follow these steps, right? So define a common interface or abstract class that declares a search method. This method takes a collection of library items and a search query's input and returns a filtered list of matching items. All right. So this is the first thing we want to do. Um, Sorry, I opened a new window. All right. So here we will create an interface first. Let's call it search strategy or something, right? This is our search strategy interface. It will have a function search, Um, it's gonna be public, and it's gonna return list of library items. And as described, it will take a input, which is again gonna be list of library items. This, let's say, is the input, and it's gonna take a search query. So that can be a string because we can take the title or the author name as a string, right? So let's call it query, and that's about it, I think. Wait, what's missing? Yeah, that's all. We'll need to import the Java util package. All right. Uh, I mean, we should not be importing star. We should actually import what's getting used, but it's fine for these kind of projects. All right. So that's the general search strategy. Now we need two concrete implementations of it, right? One so that searches by the title, another that searches by the author full name. So I'll go back. I'll create two new classes. Oh, wait a second. Yeah. So first one is, let's get the name from here. Okay, there's no name defined. Let me just call it search by title, and search by author name can be the other one. Sometimes it doesn't work directly. Um, Search by title. All right, and we'll have another one. Wait, class search by author name. Okay, now both of these implements the search strategy interface, right? So implements search strategy, and so we'll need to add the override the search method, right? um yeah, we'll add the actual business logic here later. What's there? Cannot access library item. This should be fine. I mean, actually the package name is not defined, so probably because of that. We have is Java. Oops. Yeah, it will work out. I mean, the ID takes some time to refresh, so this should be fine. Same for search by author name. Search by author name implements search strategy. It has the search function. Okay, I'll just copy. All right, here also I'll just do the package. Cool. Does not expect the package. Package is not here also. I don't know why it's not automatically adding it. Anyway, we have it at other places, right? Yeah. Anyways, this should be fine. Now, we have the search strategy interface. We have the concrete implementation of those. I mean, we don't have the actual business logic, but that's fine. That's straightforward. I just want to get to the structure first. Um, Now, the library manager holds a reference to the strategy interface. It provides method to set change the current strategy at runtime. When a search request comes, it delegates the search operation to the current strategy without knowing the details of how the search is performed. All right. So actually, I asked it to give me a sample of how this code will be used. Um, so here it is. We have the instance of the library manager, and then we call set search strategy to provide it the actual strategy. And then when we call perform search, it uses that strategy and takes the query parameter, right? So let's implement that in the library manager. So we'll have to implement these two methods, set search strategy and the perform search. Um, library manager, this is straightforward. So we have perform search and another one is set search strategy. Set search strategy is public. It doesn't return anything. It takes a search strategy implementation, right? So that will be search strategy, and let's call it search strategy. And I think all it does is just set it on the class, right? So we can say let's keep it private. Um, search strategy, and it's a search strategy. All right. By default, it's null. Cannot access search strategy. Yeah, I'll have to resolve that package issue. But anyway, this is fine. This dot search strategy is equal to the search strategy that's provided. All right. Now perform search. Perform search is gonna return back the list of the items. So this is gonna be public list of library item, and as from the example, right, it's gonna take the query. So I'll just the query, and here it will call the actual search strategy implementation. So this dot search strategy dot perform search, and it takes two things, right? It takes the list of library items and it takes the query. So I'll first pass it the list of library items, which we have list all items, right? This is in list. So this dot list all items, and second is the query itself, and it's gonna return this. It's a method, so we'll call that, and that is fine. Is undefined for the type search strategy. It's called search. Cool. This is resolved. This is fine. Here, cannot access search strategy. Batch source file does not contain class. Please remove or make it appear in the correct subdirectory at the subpath. I think it's in the subs. It's in the right subdirectory. Maybe some file is not saved. Let me close everything. Um, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. For example, ebook, right? It has the Java oops. A library item has Java oops, and so on. Okay, let me just close and open my IDE again. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. We'll continue. So as you see, right, for setting the search strategy, and this is all runtime in some way, and we are setting the strategy there, and when we are calling the actual search, it's using that strategy. All right. Cool. Probably those errors are gone. Okay. Let's do the actual implementation. So it's not gone. Anyway, here this is search by title, so we'll have to implement the search by title. I'll just use cursor for this. I'm not very good at that, so let's just add it to the chat and ask cursor to implement the business logic for search. um, Allow partial matches, right? I think it allows partial matches. Let's see. Partial or full match, partial match, yeah. So allow partial matches. Mm, I think my cursor is outdated. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Anyway, let's just get it from there. Provide implementation for the two strategies. All right. We have this for items, and the items dot title is not null till os dot contains. And doesn't look very elegant, but let's just use it. This is title search strategy. Okay, we will call it items. Library item has title, right? Yeah. But it's private, so I don't think you can directly do item dot get title. Item dot title, you'll have to do item dot get title. Get title, and that's fine. Let's do the same for the other one. Mm, Search strategy by author name. All right, this is items, and obviously items dot get author, author dot get name lowercase, and so on. Okay, and now let's take the test code and run it. So where is our test code? This is our test code. Let me just copy it, go back to main. Hmm. Okay, I'll have to rename variables. This is title source strategy, this is author source strategy, which is fine. We'll just use our name, search by title, and the other one is search by author name. All right. Yeah, let's run it. But probably we'll get some error. Yeah. So accomplishment syntax around token Java oops, expected after that's silly. This is fine. This is the one here. That's fine. Let's rerun it. Okay. So you can ignore it. I mean, it's compiling and everything. This is our result. Let's actually go through it and then we'll pass it to Perplexity. So we created the library manager. We added these two authors, these three items. Then we did a search by title, and we performed a search on Java. So it should give us this book and this book. For title Java, this is the first one, and this is the second one, right? Then we change the strategy to author name, and we perform the search with this author Guido. Um, Guido is this one. This is author 2. Author 2 is only on the last book, which is Python programming ebook. We get that. So seems like it's working. Let's just pass it to Perplexity. Okay. Here is my output. All right. So it seems it's working. And let's see how much time we have. This is 20 minutes. So let's pause it here. I'll create a next session for the decorator pattern. Uh, yeah, thanks for joining, and see you in the next one. All right.